My name is Jimmy Howard Peterson. My rank was Engineman Second Class Submarine Qualified. I was sent to the Razorback, which is also imported out of San Diego, and it had a newer style design on it. I don't know the exact category of it, but it looks more like the submarines you see, the new submarines that had a straight sail. And when I went to the Razorback from the Sminnix, I worked in the engine rooms. Okay. And the first class, the E6, that was in charge of the after main power engine room. We only had 3 engines on that particular boat, and they had what they call a Prairie Master, where one engine would be, and it was a big bubble compressor for suppress noise when you're underwater when they used it. But the rear aft engines were the main power, and we were going to make this 10,000 plus mile trip overseas, and I was only a second class, and they stuck me in charge of that engine room. And I think I was in like 20 or 21 then, and I was pretty freaked out about that, to be honest with you. You know, and the first class says, don't worry about it, they're going to work, they've been taken care of. And he was right, they did. We made another Westpac in that one, and it did similar things in it, although this time we got to go to Thailand, which was a great experience. Going to Thailand, the people were very friendly. One of our crew members, and this was on the first, so I got to remember this Thailand one. This is another. We did go to Thailand on that one too. He was worked with snakes before he came into the service, and he was looking for connections for snake trading. And so we went out with him in Thailand, and he was going to these places that had snakes. And I can remember these crates. They were just wooden crates, like chicken crates, and they had, I remember that they had huge pythons in these things. They had king cobras, and they were feeding these things. They feed them chickens. So pretty exciting thing for me. But this one friend of mine, one of the things he wanted to do was bring some snakes with him. So he got 2 little regal pythons, non-poisonous of course, had them in a little box, put them in his rack, and he's going, didn't tell anybody. I mean, a couple of us knew, but if he told anybody, there'd been mutiny on that boat. And he brought them back. He had 3 of them, 2 of them made it back. He'd bring them in port. When we were in port, he would bring them out and he'd go feed them mice or whatever. So that was one of the things that kind of, like, wow, if anybody would have known, it would have been a sad day for them. But let's go back to the Razorback here. We made that last Westpac, which basically did the same thing. But I did get accommodation on that boat, now that I'm thinking back about it. We were in the Tonkin Gulf, and we had what they call freshwater heat exchangers. The freshwater cooled to saltwater, or the saltwater cooled to freshwater that cooled the engines, and one of those developed a leak, and you couldn't run the engine because it was filling up with salt water. By chance, we'd had a problem before, and we happened to have a spare one of those things, and they probably weighed 500 pounds at least, a big heavy thing, and changing one out was a huge operation. So we took both the front engine room crews, the back engine room crews, and we had a crew that worked what we called port and starboard, worked 4 on, 4 off, 4 on, 4 off, and we changed that out within I don't know, less than a week. We had that thing changed out and didn't interrupt our mission. So for whatever reason, I got nominated for accommodation for that particular job, just because I was in charge of the engine room, not because I did all the work, which kind of surprised me. I didn't know it till we actually closed out the ship deal. So I felt good about that. It eliminated some of my fears about the job, I guess. And came back from the Westpac on the Razorback. They were giving this submarine to the Turkish Navy. So we were charged with training the Turkish sailors, which they were already submariners, I'm thinking, but they didn't speak English. We didn't speak Turkish. So we were going out trying to train them on something with no communication. I don't think they really wanted to communicate with us. They just wanted us to get out of there. We spent our time doing that. And then we finished off by taking the boat back to Hunters Point at San Francisco, and where they overhauled the ship for the Turkish Navy, and then they sent it back over to Turkey, and it stayed over there till they were through with it. And then some of the crew somehow got together and they brought the Razorback back to the United States, and it now sits down as the I guess a mascot for the Arkansas Razorbacks. If you want to visit it, it's down there, and I haven't been there, but I would like to go there sometime. But after we gave it to the Turks, I got out 30 days early to go to school at Boise State University in Boise, Idaho. And I didn't get processed out. I got my papers, and I asked the guy, I said, what do I have to do? And he says, go home. So I went home and went back to school. And I was pretty happy. And I can remember one of the things about going back to school that today makes me floored is on what they paid me for my school, from my education benefits. I could go to school and I could pay for my books, and I didn't have to work very much to go to school. And today it's like, wow, I couldn't even buy a book for what I was doing that for at that time. So then subsequent to that, I spent some time in the National Guard out there. They just take you right over and did that. And then I was a career as a firefighter, and I had to leave that because the career firefighter hours didn't work out for that. But that's pretty much my history of my short term, almost 4 years.